My name is Silje Benonisen, and I work as a senior advisor and mobility specialist in early childhood care in Statped, Norway. And we are going to talk about orientation and mobility for small children, a holistic approach.
Yes, and my name is Sigrid Avsnes. I'm also a senior advisor and mobility specialist in Statped, Norway.
Yeah.
If there's something who wants to know, the opening code for this session is the opening session 1212125 is 2335.
It's okay?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. In this presentation, we want to talk about how we supervise in the Norwegian system. More than 90% of all children in the age of 1 to 6 goes to the kindergarten in Norway. That includes blind children. If a child is blind, the special educator in the community contacts Statped to get guidance and to get supervised in the development in all areas. We give guidance to the preschool teachers and the other adults working with the children. We don't work directly with the child, and we only see the child 3 to 6 times a year. But we always want to keep in touch to guide on the phone or in a digital meeting. In that way, we can focus on some work on areas, a bit more focused. The holistic approach is important to see the whole child. We think orientation and mobility in all activity through the day. One of our main goals is to create an awareness and enthusiasm to the adults working in the kindergarten. We often see that some children, they don't want to train if there is too much focus on assessment and facilitation. Many children want to be like the others. In that case, we want to use the other children to motivate, and we work with the whole group. As mobility specialists, we know that there has been made a different good list to use when working with children. We have the Texas two-step, the developmental journal, the framework for independent travel, and we have TAPS. These lists are very good to use, but we also see that they are too advanced to look into for the kindergarten, who is not a specialist. And when we work in the community, we see the need for something that is easier to guide in and that fits the Norwegian system better. For that reason, we have made a list to use in our guidance, and it should be fun working with orientation.
Oh.
Yeah. So our list and what we are going to talk about today is the sensory awareness, the body image, the motor development, concept development, and formalized mobility techniques.
And I'm going to talk a little bit about sensory awareness. So what is sensory awareness? I think it's a lot of things, or maybe everything. But when we work with the small children and orientation and mobility, we want them to use its senses to know where in the environment he or she is. To achieve this goal, we must create an awareness in the child that it throughout listening, using its body, and exploring with its hands can get useful information about the world. Children who are blind will use their haptic muscle and joint position sense to discover the world already when they are babies lying on the floor. And we know that we have to give them many and varied tactile experience by offering them objects to explore, tactile books and tactile materials. We teach the child that it can use its hand to get valuable information about the world. We must also facilitate that the child from an early age can learn how they can use their hearing to get useful information. And here you can see a picture of a little boy. He's holding something in his hands. And when he was about 2 years old, he started stamping with his feet every time he went to, I can see a lot of you are nodding now, yes, you have seen it before. When he passed a door or got near a wall, he just started doing this. And we thought, okay, he's using echolocalization. And how can we give him a tool to use that even more effectively? And he was too small to use his tongue to create this sound for using echolocalization. So we gave him a dog training clicker. And it was quite amazing to see him using that because he just started exploring the world. He got, this picture is taken when he got it, and he just started exploring his house. And wow, what is this? And he found the stairs. And when he gets close to the stairs, he will just start clicking fast. And oh, what is this? Oh, it's the stairs. And he would go to the store with his parents and listen to the shelves. Where does it start and where does it stop? And we saw that he experienced that sound could be useful for him. He learned how to listen, and he learned what he heard, the meaning of what he had been hearing. So today, this little boy is 8 years old. He's learning the route from his home to school. It's about 2 kilometers. And one of the important things that he orientates from is the sound of the houses that he passes. He lives in an area that there is not many houses, but he uses, and now he uses his thumb and his cane to get useful information by echolocalization. So in our checklist, as we have called it, because we know that many of the children we meet does not automatically embrace the information they get from its senses. And some children is even afraid of the sounds or using their hands. So when we go in the kindergarten, we ask 2 questions. Does the child have an awareness that they can get valuable information throughout their senses? And does they tolerate and understand the sensory information that they get?
And next we have the body image. It is important to develop body image and understanding of how the body is working. We have to learn the name of all our body parts, also the words that are not so normal for small children to learn, like ankle, wrist, legs, and thigh. And we also want the children to learn prepositions. This will improve independence and an understanding towards what something is outside what I can reach. On this picture, we have a girl with a doll. This girl, she held her doll, and in the picture to the left, the girl would lie on a bench and she would put the doll under the bench, and she would say, I'm on top of the bench, the doll is under the bench. She would do this spontaneous. No one told her to do this. On the next picture to the right, the girl, she took the doll on top of her stomach and said, now, doll is on top of me, I'm under the doll. So we notice, okay, she has a beginning to understand prepositions that we can use. We also want the children to learn the difference between left and right. And we see that if you do this systematically, they can learn from 2 years of age. And we want to start as early as possible to name all the body parts. Touch the name as we touch and name them when we are doing the nappy changing. And using all the routine situations through the day. The meal time, getting dressed. In Norway, there's a lot of weather, so we have a lot of clothes. So there's good ways to practice throughout the day. In one kindergarten, I was walking inside and there was 3 children playing hide and seek alone. And one of the children was blind. they would play with me. So they say, can you count? I said, yes, I will count to 20 and then I will come find you. I was counting. And when I was coming to 20, I say, okay, I'm looking under the blanket behind the couch. And I noticed the girl who's blind, she was under a low bench. And she was so excited because, you know, okay, she's going to find me now. She's coming, she's coming. So she also learned that this is a fun way to play because she has to hide with the other children when they are hiding. This was a spontaneous game that just happened because they were alone and someone took the initiative to play. And we want to use this natural play to explore and understand how others' bodies are similar or bigger, smaller. And it can also be used by having gymnastic play, motor play, and dance and song. In one kindergarten, the preschool teacher, she wanted the children to be quiet because they was waiting for meal time. And they had to wait a few minutes. And that's not something that children likes to do. So to make it quiet, she would say, okay, the children has to play their left appendix finger to their nose. And everybody's doing it. And for children, this is fun. And then you have to play your right hand to your head. Every children are doing it. So you can learn preposition, body image, and at the same time, keep quiet in the group of children. And the kids, they think it's fun. I've done this a lot of times myself. So to our body image checklist, we want to know, does the child know the name of all their body parts? And do they know preposition and left and right?
And then we have motor development. Motor development is controlled by the brain, and it's affected by physical activity and play that stimulates the nervous system. These skills are constantly developed when the child interacts with the environment. And we know that children who are blind often has a delay in their motor development. To stimulate the nervous system, we need to give them experience and challenges to build foundation to develop these skills. On this first picture, you can see a little boy who is standing at the top of a back of an adult. Because this kindergarten, they had a physio coming for once a week for an hour or 2 years. And she was working by the philosophy of Veronica Scherborn, who I have understood is quite a star in the physio world because of her work with the children. And they would start every lesson by sitting together, taking off the shoes, sitting together, sitting close together, and their feet were touching each other. And all of the things that they did in this lesson, it was with their body. And they were using the adult's body to climb on or to hold in, and everything was they were doing it together. When they were running, they were holding each other's hands. And when they were jumping, they were holding each other's hands. And this was so perfect for the child who was blind. And he learned how to, or he got experience with running, jumping, balance, and he developed the core. So in the next picture, you can see 2 children climbing a ladder. And they're going to the top of a roof. The girl who is at the top, she's blind. And you might think, oh God, is this safe? And I thought that too when I saw what they were doing. But the kindergarten stuff in this kindergarten, they have been working so systematically with preparing her and preparing themselves, because it is a responsibility to let the child do these kind of things, and you have to be sure that it is safe for the child. Because what you can't see on this picture is that on the top of the roof, there is lying an adult and she is ready to catch. And we can't see that the child have been practiced a lot of times in the kindergarten on a smaller ladder, and she have been on the roof of a little playhouse in the kindergarten, so she knew the concept. But to give the children these kinds of experience, we need to prepare the child, and we need to prepare the staff to have the courage to do these kind of things. And to our motor development, to the checklist for motor development, we have just asked, does the child use the body to explore their surroundings? And when they have answered, they do, I think they do. Then the next question is, but how do they do it?
And then we have the concept development. The concept development is an understanding of representation, images, or ideas of what something should be. The child will learn through curiosity and when they explore. So how can we support this development and avoid the world to be too big? To work with understanding of concepts, we must talk much, and at the same time make sure that the child has something to relate to what we are saying. If we ask, do you want to go to the swing? The child needs to know what a swing is. If not, they must learn through tactile exploration. There are two pictures. The pictures to the left is a boy. He has a model of Lightning McQueen, and he's holding the car in his hand, and he is also sitting on top of a car. So he's learning that what is a car? Is a car always the same thing every time I see a car or touches a car? So we need them to explore many types of cars. You can be on top, but can you sit on top of the Lightning McQueen cars? Maybe, but it can be broken if you do. And the picture to the right is the classic picture of the 6 blind men and the elephant, who touches different parts of the elephant, but none of them sees the whole pictures of the elephant. And if the child doesn't explore, some children don't, we have to put something there that can just so they touch it. And then we have to be very rewarding, very rewarding when they touch it. Yes, I lost the word, sorry. So when we talk about concept development, we want to know, does the child explore to get information? And sometimes it's hard to get the information because the world is big. So in one playground for a blind child, this was his playground. There are a lot of car wheels that they could jump on, climb on, go through, and there were ropes so they could climb and play with. To make him understand how to play here, he would measure how tall is the tractor wheel he could go through, and the wheel is the biggest boy. And then the kindergarten, they made him a 3D model of the playground so he could touch and to feel, okay, so the rope is over the wheels and the wheels is around in a circle. And after he had to explore this, he could play like the other children. And he could also go back to the 3D model to check in. Okay, what's here?
And he could choose where he wanted to play. Because then he felt at the model, and then he said, oh, I want to go to that swing before going.
In another kindergarten I was talking to this, I think she was 3 years old, she was blind, and we were talking about the fire alarms, and she was afraid of the alarm, of the sound, but sometimes it went off, that can happen. I would tell her that in my house, the fire alarm tells me which floor it has went on, it's the fire or the smoke, and she would say, floor? Is that like in the elevator? I was thinking, yes, what is a floor? What is a floor if you're blind and you go into an elevator and it says first floor, second floor? So we're talking to the kindergarten that she has to know what is the floor. So they could build houses in Legos or Duplo, and they will have to build different types of floors. And they could talk about the ceiling, is the ground in the floor upstairs. So she could understand. And then we have the formalized mobility techniques. The formalized mobility techniques is the human guide, the self-protective techniques, the mobility cane, and the roots. We guide on what we consider is important in every case, but we see that the mobility cane is something that is very new to the kindergarten and to the parents. I brought our smallest mobility cane. This is the one that we are suggesting if there's a small child. It's 1 gram per centimeters. This is 60 centimeters, so it should be 60 grams. And it has the pear tip. We don't have a right or wrong to when to start using the cane, but we want to start as early as possible so they could play and explore when it's so little and so light. When they are bigger, we recommend the roller tip to place on the cane. One child I was seeing, she was about 1 year, and she had this physiotherapist who wants her to lie on her stomach. She doesn't want that. Of course, we know blind children doesn't like living on their stomach because it's really hard and really boring. And she would have the cane, and she was exploring it immediately with her hands. It was gliding along the cane. And then she would throw the cane and lost it. And to find it, she would lie on her stomach and reaching for it. And the physiotherapist said, okay, so this was what she needed, a cane to lie on her stomach. Okay, so she's strong enough, but she doesn't want to. But now she would like to, she's motivated.
And then a little bit about guidelines. When we are in kindergarten, we often meet the staff and the parents to discuss how and where we can use guidelines in the kindergarten. But by using guidelines, we give the child an opportunity to be independent and feel safe. And this first picture is from a kindergarten where they have used Velcro on the floor to make a guideline. This was a little boy. He's around 2.5 years, and he didn't want to walk. He was just crawling at the floor, and the physio said that he was strong enough. There's no problem. He should walk. But he would just crawl to the walls and just feel the wall by moving. And he wants to go to the little room. He loves his little room when he wants to relax. But when we made these guidelines, he couldn't use the support from the wall. And then he was starting to, maybe I should use my feet. He just started using his hands. And then, my feet, yes. And now, they have had this for about 6 months. And now he was taking a shortcut through the room. And I think, yes, we made it. Because that's what's really great about guidelines when they're taking these shortcuts. And the other picture is from a kindergarten where there is a boy who was about 4 years old at this time. There is a trolley, and you can see the guidelines, because he wanted so bad to be independent. And as a mother of some teenagers, I think that is amazing. And he wanted to do the same as the other child. He wanted to put his plates and glasses on this trolley after eating. So they just made a guideline from his place where he was eating, and then through the trolley. So he could clear, and it didn't take him a long time to do that either. And he was so happy and when I came and he had been training on doing this, look at me, look. So that guidelines also is important for independence. When the child is learning how to orientate and in an environment, a route is a lot of things. A route can be pretty short. And sometimes it's hard to find the motivation in the child. And for this child, they had an elevator just nearby the stairs, and he didn't want to go to the stairs. Why should he? He could take the elevator, and the elevator did talk. So that was his the best thing that he could do. So he don't want to go to the stairs. No, the elevator. So the solution became that they placed his favorite toy in the middle of the stairs, and then he could sit there, and the reward was sitting there playing a little bit and taking it upstairs. And they had this goal that in a month he was going to walk the stairs for himself, but after a week he was at the top. So sometimes it's about finding the right motivation. This is an activity route, and the little boy who was going to use this, he was so afraid. He didn't want to go in the room. No. And I think it's because he was afraid, or he wasn't prepared enough, and he was scared. So the solution became, again, making a simple model, 3D model of the activity route, so that he could feel and be prepared and choose where to go. Because I think that is something that's important with using these kind of models, is that the child gets the opportunity to decide themselves where to go. Not that place that I want to go, because I want to start at this starting point and go through the whole route. But he didn't want to do that. But he did want to go to the big blue mat, yeah, where he could jump. But to go there, he had to crawl through the tunnel. And then we just worked and taking one step of the time with this route. So by using this checklist that we have made, and I'm not sure if you even can call it a checklist. It's more a set of questions that we have used to create awareness of that the kindergarten can work with skills that are needed in orientation and mobility in many settings throughout a day in kindergarten. Our experience is that by using these questions, we can come in a position where we can focus on how we can work in a playful way to motivate each child so that they reach their full potential. Because I think that is important. And we know that the next step for the child is starting school. And when they are starting school, they get a fold cane, and they are focused on formalizing mobility techniques in another way that when they are in kindergarten. It's not so sadful, it's not so much play and fun. But we hope that by working systematically with the kindergarten staff, and hopefully we have managed to create enthusiasm and awareness for all the skills that are needed in orientation and mobility. And we have hopefully built a solid foundation for becoming an independent member of the society.